As well as the Etruscans, Suri was also worshipped by other ancient Italic peoples such as the Falisci, the Carpenates and the Sabines. But the main cult centre of worship was located at Monserrate. Monserrate is a narrow, isolated limestone ridge which is made up of 6 peaks, spanning a length of just under 6 kilometres. It is the sole noticeable ridge in the Tiber Valley and is located just 28 miles north of Rome. In antiquity, the ridge was seen as sacred, probably due to its unique geological features, which include deep caves, caverns, as well as secondary volcanic phenomena, which would seemingly become associated with the divinities of the underworld. The Sabine priests, who worshipped Suri under the name Soranus, called themselves the Hirpi Serani, which meant wolves of Soranus, from the Sabine word for wolf, Hirpus. Servius tells us the origin story of the Hirpi Serani in his commentary on Virgil's Aeneid. Quote, Monserrate is located in the territory of the Hirpini, next to Via Flaminia. It was on this mountain that a sacrifice to Dispater was once performed, because it was devoted to chthonic deities. As wolves suddenly appeared and plundered the entrails from the fire, the shepherds chased the wolves for a long time, until they arrived at a cave emanating pestilent gases that killed people standing nearby. The reason for the emergence of this plague was that they had chased the wolves. They received a message that they could calm it down by imitating wolves. They did so, and since then, these people have been called Hirpi Serani. End quote. Strabo, Solinus, and Pliny the Elder tell us how the priests, during their rituals, would walk barefoot across embers 3 times while carrying offerings to the deity. The priests were seemingly impervious to the heat or pain, and are even described by the Latin word exultant in the account from Solinus. Notice the use of the term mystery. Quote, it is worth remembering, and is known by everyone, that there are few families in the Faliscan territory that are called Hirpi. They perform a yearly sacrifice to Apollo on Mount Serrate. While performing their religious acts, they jump unscathed in flaming piles of wood in honour of the divinity which controls the flames. Because of their devotion to the mystery, the Senate has generously honoured the Hirpi with perpetual exemption from all official duties. End quote. Varro, transmitted by Servius, explains the priests used a medicated ointment to moisturise the bottom of their feet, while Silius Italicus says it was a trance which protected the priests. Could this medicated ointment have been infused with the hallucinogenic properties of a plant such as henbane, which brought on the trance and provided analgesic effects? Its use is documented by classical authors such as Pliny and Dioscorides, the former calling it herba Apollinaris, meaning herb of Apollo, and the latter writing that it caused sedation and served as an analgesic. The 16th century herbalist John Gerard specifically writes that washing the feet in a henbane decoction would induce sleep, and some scholars have suggested the plant may have been used in conjunction with other substances to induce oracular prophecy during rites in antiquity. The wolf and the cave also seem to be significant elements of the cult's practice, and some scholars speculate they could be symbols of the underworld, with caves serving as places of chthonic worship. To further this notion, Etruscan urns have been found depicting a wolf or a man with a wolf's head emerging from a well. And Iter, who is described as the Etruscan transcription of the Greek Hades, is sometimes depicted wearing the skin of a wolf. Etruscan amphoras, dated to circa 500 BC, also show images of priests making sacrifices at an altar, while dogs are depicted encircling the shrine, which is an image reminiscent of the origin story of the Hirpi Serrani. Some scholars have suggested a common origin shared between the ritual of the Hirpi Serrani and the Roman festival of Lupercalia, a name thought to originate from the Latin lupus, meaning wolf. Some of the rites were confined to the Lupercal cave, which according to legend is where Romulus and Remus were discovered and raised by a she-wolf. Goats and dogs were said to be sacrificed at the festival, and those partaking in the rites would cut up strips of the animal hides which were used to strike spectators, an act which was seen to bestow fertility. Varro and Ovid also tell us of the association of Lupercalia with purification. Quote, "The latter, as the same writers say, was called February, from the Dii Inferni, or gods of the lower world, because at that time expiatory sacrifices are made to them. But I think it was called February, rather from Dies Februatus, or Purification Day, because then the people are Februatur, or purified. That is, the old Palatine town girt with these flocks of people is passed around by the naked Luperci, or priests of the rites." End quote. Quote, "The fathers of Rome called purification Februa. Many things still indicate that meaning for the word. The high priest asks the king and the flamen for woolen cloths called februa in the ancient tongue. When houses are cleansed, the roasted grain and salt the lictor receives are called by the same name. The same name too is given to the branch cut from a pure tree, whose leaves wreath the priest's holy brows. I've seen the priest's wife ask for februa, and at her request she was given a branch of pine. In short, anything used to purify our bodies had that title in the days of our hairy ancestors. The month is so called because the Luperci cleanse the earth with strips of purifying hide, or because the time is pure, having placated the dead when the days devoted to the departed are over. Our ancestors believed every sin and cause of evil could be erased by rites of purification." End quote. Before we wrap up our investigation into Suri, let us first address the Etruscan word that was used for the gods, which the National Etruscan Museum called Iser. Etruscan glossaries show a single deity is styled either Ace or Ice, while in the plural it is Aesar or Acer. One of the historical accounts which seemingly confirms this is the Lives of the 12 Caesars by Suetonius, a Roman historian writing in the early imperial era. In his account, he tells us how lightning had struck a statue of Augustus Caesar, who ordered the omen to be interpreted by seers. Quote, "At about the same time, the first letter of his name was melted from the inscription on one of his statues by a flash of lightning. It was interpreted to mean that he would live only 100 days from that time, the number indicated by the letter C, and that he would be numbered amongst the gods, since Aesar, that is the part of the name Caesar which was left, is the word for gods in the Etruscan tongue." End quote.